regarding, Lord Chaitanya says we should be, humbler than a blade of grass, like that. My question is, when dealing with people, especially they have a lot of ideas, that, Srila Prabhupada pointed, gurus, they want us to be gurus. How do we remain humble when we know they're wrong? And do we just ignore them and just say, oh, yes, you're right, whatever? Or we have to fight philosophy, on the basis of philosophy, we have to fight with them, right? So how do we stay humble? That's my question.
I'll give a quick answer to that. A debate is not it's a debate of two positions, two people. One has one position and the other. So we debate these questions with them. That's as simple as it is. We give the answers. And we go forward like that, step by step. This is our position. As far as emotion or, any kind of material result that we're expecting, we should not expect people to accept in all cases that what we're explaining as the philosophy, they will accept. But I found this out, and Yashoda can confirm this, I think. A lot of times you get into a debate. I've had debates with certain devotees, godbrothers of mine, that went on for months of discussion. And then in the end, they just tell me this: oh, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Goodbye. And it's over. They just walk away. I don't want to listen to it. You're telling me that we shouldn't read the books by Jayadvaita? And I go, yeah, that's exactly right. Or you shouldn't associate with the members of the Gaudiya Math. Prabhupada didn't want you to. And they go, well, I don't agree with you. Goodbye. Goodbye. It's a big world. See you later. We did our duty. Yashoda, please.
Well, this is an important point, because in the Vedic system, in the lives of all the great acharyas, they had debates. But the more Kali Yuga advances, the more it becomes difficult to have civilized disputations, because people have very positions many times that are not based on the search for truth. It's based on false ego or domination over somebody else, or basically trying to rationalize one's irrational position. In other words, it's one thing to have a discussion to find the truth, but if the discussion becomes simply a display of false ego and anger, it's not going anywhere. Just like Prabhupada, there's one conversation in the Prabhupada Conversation book where Prabhupada is telling one gentleman, it says, you may believe whatever you want to believe, but your belief is not necessarily a fact. Your belief may not necessarily a fact. Everybody is entitled to their pious beliefs. But the point is, what is the truth? What is the facts? What are the facts? And that's why when people discuss these issues specifically, with regards to the guru issue, a lot of people don't understand the circumstances, the historical circumstances that took place in 77, 78, and 79, how this thing got started and now it got so far out of control. In other words, there is a history behind this, and it's like Hamsadutta, before he departed, made a very good point. Because what happened is many times people will ask questions, why this, why that, why Krishna allowed this, why Prabhupada allowed this, why Prabhupada chose this. And he made the point that we have a problem in our movement with called the nickel and dime philosophy. That people with nickel and dime or very little devotion, very little chanting, very little service, very little reading, very little record of actual service, and they want $1 million realization. Why this? Why that? How come this? How come that? Well, if you follow the process, if you chant, if you read the books, you worship Tulsi, you hear Srimad Bhagavatam, do this for some time, and gradually your head will clear, your brain will get cleared up, your heart will get cleared up, and these issues will come naturally, they'll be understood. But if somebody is still caught up with the pod problem, with the profit adoration distinction problem, it becomes very difficult to understand the issue. Let me give you an example. In 1986, during the so-called reform, the 50-man committee reform in ISKCON, one of these orders in 11 told another devotee who personally told me he wanted to know how big should his picture should be on the altar. And when the devotee told him it doesn't belong there, this belongs to the great acharyas, to the great self-realized soul, the great topmost Bhagavats in our line. He wanted to know whether his picture should be 1 inch or 2 inches as opposed to 5 or 6 inches, because it's all based on self-ambition, profit, adoration, and distinction, how much puja he was going to get. And that is the problem. If there is no personal desire for profit, adoration, distinction, it's not difficult to understand this philosophy. It's not that complicated. I know some devotees on this call who understand things very nicely. And some of the devotees who have been practicing for 50 years, they can't get it. Why? Because of that personal motivation problem. That is the disease, the pratishta problem. Hare Krishna.
Haribo. So we're going to move towards